Here we are on part two, in case you're, whether you long to join part two. Part one was a 4-part series. Once again, the time and date stamp is very necessary for the time that we live in. It is Friday, 17:33, 12 seconds, the year 2021. The month, the 9th month, for it is September. And the day is the backwards E, known as 3. That's the big THR before the E. As the sun sets behind us on the cami. And we're enjoying Willamette Valleys, Riesling, 2019, and we are located 150, and I hold commercial lien on this address, on the account, as an agent, lawful agent, private military, head and motherfucking chief. Hoping that you'll get to the same level so that we're all head and chiefs together, side to side, instead of one behind the other, or one following another, or leading another. Anyway, that's 150 S Street, Springfield, Oregon, 97477. And I don't hide any addresses like all the rest of these judges at the county level, state level, or the federal level. I am not connected to the Skull and Bones Club, although I know everything going on in there. Everything. And once again, if you don't know the records, to go visit the marshal down there. And I have a Springfield Police Department neighborhood watch account. You just look up the address, 150 S Street. And I'll point you right to the marshal so you can go down there and visit him and say hi to the clerk and read the public record, because it's free public record for everyone to see, which none of these judges around here have any such record, because they're hiding, because they're lying to you. They don't want you to show up at their house, because they know that if you show up, guess what? They'll probably go call the cops on you, because they're too wimpy and too weak to handle their business. In other words, they're just children, and they're not mature, and they need mother's breast milk, real breast milk. That includes breastly knowledge, so that they can get themselves out of this fake media lie society, king's rule, bullshit, stuck in the mud abuse, and learn to show some affectionate love instead of just trapping everyone, tricking everyone into counties so they can hopefully get them into either the prison or to join their fuck club. Anyway, once again, if you want to go visit the marshals, tell them you want to see the clerk and you want to look at Brother Russell's credentials, lawful credentials. The number is, get your pens and paper so you can write this down. And if you don't get it, go visit the Springfield Police Neighborhood Watch Program, because it's all written down right there for all the public to see. You got your pen and your paper ready? I can sense someone scurrying. They got their smartphone ready. Okay. Type this in there. 6:16 MC 599. And there's another file that I hold on the record. It's also 6:16 CV 022. What? 022? 0223? Is that correct? I think it's correct. I can go look at. Hold on. Anyway, 0-223. Is it 223? Anyway, close enough. If you get to the first one, I'm sure you can just ask the clerk, what is Russell Edward Esquew's other case number? Anyway, 6:16-CV-02232. There it is. 02232. Dash capital A, capital A. You can go down there, read the public record, and you can see how someone writes their story using affidavits. And don't stop there. Then go to the Oregon Employment Department and demand from them that you want to see Russell Edward Esquew's, agent, 170-page amendment to that Constitution sitting down there in the federal district court. Yes, that is a self-constitution. Because any affidavit that's acquiesced to from all those hiding behind the Wizard of Oz veil, any affidavit, folks, is a constitution, which is another word for a story. And it doesn't matter what you type on it, because you can interpret it any way you want. In fact, you can write in the affidavit, all these words that I type are to be interpreted any way I want, anytime as I see fit, for anything that arises as necessary, for any abuse that comes this way, to bring an audit balance to the abuser. You can type anything you want in the story that you want for you, folks. And if you want to get more education, rather than the education that I got to share, go on YouTube and type in Winston Shrout. It's spelled just like it sounds. And he's all over the YouTube, folks. All over. And he has a YouTube channel too called Winston Shrout. And he's also, as the story goes, sitting in the U.S. Federal District Court prison. And I'm going to say unlawfully. And he went into the prison 2 years ago under President Trump's watch. And that doesn't mean that President Trump put him there, but I'm just going to say it was under President Trump's watch, and he did not receive no pardon when President Trump left for whatever reason. And that could be a good, bad, or balanced thing. And you can, and instead of going down, if you don't want to risk going down and saying hi to the marshal, because that's some scary shit, having to go say hi to a federal marshal, isn't it? If you have $30 of unlawful paper money, which we're all used to using, You can go on a website called pacer.gov and pay them $30, and you can see any U.S. District Court record that you want, including all the sealed indictments for all the fucktards that have been screwing you, sitting in the U.S. District Court, waiting to be unsealed and brought to the public for all the shenanigans been going on, such as the inside job through the CIA known as the 911 towers coming down in New York, or the killing of JFK, President John F. Kennedy, who was looking to bring back the creditor dollar, because he knew what the fuck was up, according to what the story was. He got his ass shot unlawfully by the CIA, and they made up a fake fuck story, and it's all over YouTube. And all the other bullshit that's been going on in history for a long time, and current events. But don't believe me, it's all just a story, isn't it? And there's a whole lot of people on the planet, and especially in this country called the United States, that don't know much about the U.S. District Court where lawful affidavits are registered as one of the places to register. There's a whole lot of people in this country that at least know something. And what they know is when the wool has been pulled over their eyes and they depend on the legal codes for justice. That includes the military court-martial executive orders that President Trump put in for treason. And yes, there are executive orders, although executive orders are unlawful. But remember, that's the bad habit that we live in. So President Trump, legal President Trump back then, until he restored the new Constitution, now he's sovereign President Trump. So the story goes till he publicly comes back, which some say is very soon, who knows. And he's going to let all the world know that the sovereign original Constitution has been restored, which is free speech, the right to bear arms with no permits, and all the rest of the goody whackers that are in there that y'all know. But he's a sovereign president. And I like to say he has not quite reached yet to the level called lawful president. And that's what I am. He knows it. Biden knows it. And all the rest of them hiding behind the veil at the elite level know it. And I'm sure everyone around here is getting to know it. And I ain't here to rule you. I am here to share information as a lawful sheriff. It could be just a story. And hope, as the Shaw woman crying in the jungle, just like it used to be in native days, in tribal days. I know we're used to legalism, and we can't see beyond legalism. But I've been here in the backyard enough years and raised the voice enough times that something is probably getting through, that you also have capacity to be at the same level. Because this is not one thing rules another. This is all upon equality for all. No more being tricked or talked into this or that. Equality for all, folks. Everyone is a lawful president. And you don't even have to call it a lawful president. You call it whatever you want. It is what it is. But remember, don't believe me, just a story. I'm just sharing the story that I like to share. It's the best story I like to share. Man, I get a kick out. And girl, I get a kick out. Willamette Valley's Vineyard Best right here. 2019 is the date. Riesling. Yes, there is even a balanced use and a good use, as well as a bad use, for everything that there is in the universe. That includes wine. And there's a time to whine and there's a time to shut up, especially when you hear a threat coming down the bike path 2 miles away. With ESP, you would sense it coming and you shut up right now. Boom! That's a public fairway, in case you didn't know, otherwise known as a public street. It's the best place to start practicing. And a long time ago, I used to be a strict Christian, man. A strict Christian. Although somewhat liberal. Especially when I learned that the latest Christian story, someone wrote a book, shared some information that was a little bit twisting to me. And I said, look what we got here! And I went on public television, Lane County, from the year 2005 to the year 2012 when the sheriff started knocking on the door. And I said, well, I'm going to pull the program now because he's looking for me. Until I learned that legally, according to their legal codes, they can't go visit the CTV 29 office to hand out a service request. They can only knock on what's called the front door to the house where you supposedly live, or they can hang it on your neighbor's door or the neighbor in the next county. It's considered in legal course any service is good service. So they could have showed up over there eventually. So I cut the program off, and at 5 o'clock every morning I got on the bicycle and rode down to the river down there. And it was cold. And I stayed down there till the sun got up and then rode through town on the bicycle in Lane County and passed right by the sheriff's office. Because I had read on the internet that they can't serve anywhere else except for the house. And then I figured out later on, they can serve your neighbor and it's still considered good service. And if the neighbor lives 2 cities away, that's considered good service in the legal term. So they would eventually found their way to that CV-29 thing, but they already knew who I was, folks. They did not even dare to come back after the first knock. They visited twice for 2 separate occasions. They did not dare even to come back. And I thought to myself, wow, that proves to me right there, there's some respect, and they know a little something about what the game is that's being played, and they're probably a little tired of it. You see how you speak around in the backyard when you have neighbors in a public fairway around here? Although you want to train first, so. In fact, when they came by the second time, they brought the whole posse, and I was inside the house watching them through the peephole because I knew from watching YouTube videos, you don't gotta answer the door, folks. You don't. So I watched him through the peephole when he knocked on the door at the front door, and then I watched him drive up and down the gravel roads with all their trucks. There wasn't very many of them. But they made it look like they were looking for someone because that's what they have to do. They have to make it look good. It's all a show. Then they left, and that's when I decided I'm going to get on the bike at 5 a.m. and I ain't going to look for it. And then I went on the website and I found out that they keep records for every visit to every place that they go to. And I looked at all the records, and I saw that they never even came back the second day or the third day. I looked for the fourth day. Nope, they ain't coming. Fifth day. Nope, they ain't showed up. The sixth day. All the way up, all the way up. And then I even went down to the court, and I went down to the public records and looked in the public records, because the reason why they send a service sheriff is because the local bank service that they send down, that's right, banks, because I owed 13 banks $130,000 and they came after my ass. And I sent them all an affidavit and said, prove to me I owe you anything. And they all, none of them wrote me another letter to swear on an affidavit that I owe them anything. So I went down to the court even. I looked in the court records, and the sheriff said, we knocked on the door, he wasn't there. I read it right there. Oh, look over here. And then I went, I saw what the attorney put in the record. And I was very, I studied Winston Shrout, folks, and he said, any attorney worth their weight in salt will always conduct a UCC1 financing statement at the state level, known as the Secretary of State, who controls all the fake fraud voting going on, and who's the debtor and the creditor. And it's supposed to be who's the debtor and creditor to the national bankruptcy. Which the third bankruptcy for this U.S. corporate nation, a corporation, which infiltrated the sovereign people, the sovereign constitution. Any attorney worth their weight in salt will always conduct a UCC1 financing statement search. And it's easy for anyone. You don't have to be no attorney. All you got to conduct is just type in the first and last name at the UCC1 financing search engine located at the State Secretary of State's website. Russell Eskew. I used to have a record up there, but I let it lapse. Reason being I let it lapse, I didn't really let it lapse. Well, yes, I did. And I can put another one anytime I want. But anyway, we'll get on that subject and explain what's going on with that. But any attorney worth their weight in salt shall always conduct a UCC1 financing statement to locate the number one thing that the Secretary of State or the State Department at the federal level, who oversees all state secretaries, the number one thing they look for is who is the debtor, who is the creditor. And I filled out a UCC1 financing statement because I watched a bunch of YouTube videos and figured out how to fill one out, because I actually finally got to the point, thanks to Mother. She sent me a template how to write up a commercial lien on the all capitalized name, Russell Eskew, in all capitalized letters, which represents coming out of the hospitals, the corporate, or the people hiding behind the corporate veil jurisdiction. Everything is considered capitalism. And so, if you look at most of your bills, folks, that you receive in the mail, or any correspondence from a corporation, mostly it's all in all capitalized letters. But they've learned to get a little bit slick lately to try to trick people. And they'll put it in upper lowercase. But if you know something, you'll know that they're just trying to get away with something and pull the wool over someone's eye. It's still considered capitalism. All capital letters, folks. But anyway, I filled out a UCC1 financing statement, which is just a public notice. That's all it is. It's a public notice for anyone that looks in those records that there is an actual lien somewhere and yes, Mother sent me a template because she studied Winston Shrout, and I can get into the story on that. I got stories upon stories upon stories, folks. But anyway, I had always wondered, I could never understand what the hell is a commercial lien. Never could I understand it until she sent me a template. And it was me that gave her the information because I said, Mom, look what I found on YouTube. And when she got a hold of that information, she said, oh my fucking God. This is the information I've been looking for fucking years, son. I knew there was something fishy going on. And that's when she went to Winston Shrout's website, who Winston Shrout is now, supposedly, according to the story, sitting in federal prison for sharing this information. Yeah. Sharing this information. Plus some extra things connected to the sheriff. But that's another story. We can get into that. Let's stick to the point. UCC1 financing statement. Any attorney worth their weight in salt. That's what I learned. In fact, I heard that from Winston Shrout from the video. And remember, folks, I visited Winston Shrout personally because he lives, or his place is right here in Hillsboro, Oregon, 150 miles north. When I heard that he was going into federal prison getting ready to be sentenced, or he got sentenced, according to the records and the YouTube videos, there were a lot of people following what was going on. And ever since he went in, a whole lot of people fell to the wayside. Except me. That I know. But I'm going to tell you, for the most part, there ain't a whole lot of people on YouTube right now sharing videos with their volume on and comments open, sharing the commercial lien process. Once Winston Shrout went into federal prison, they all ran. Because that's the old story that always goes in war, folks. If you cut the head off, all the rest of the followers shall scatter. Which tells me that they were still learning and they did not know exactly what it was or understand or have wisdom what they were into. They were just kind of hoping because someone told a story, and he had been telling the story for many years. He started his story journey back in the year 2000, and he finally went into prison in 2018, around there, or 19, somewhere around there in President Trump's later inaugural accompaniment. But anyway, getting back to the Secretary of State, who also threw the way, replacing the word buy with the word through, because we're not supposed to be buying any of this product that's sold on the shelf, because we're the creditors to the bankruptcy. But anyway, more on that. The UCC1 financing statement is public notice that there is a lien somewhere. And so when the sheriff knocked on the door and I went down to the court and saw that he put in his report, can't find the brother. I also read the rest of the records in there according to that case that a bank sent. One of the banks that I owed something like $5,000, $10,000 to, because I was trading the stock market. I quit the job market. I was looking for a way out of that shit. Especially when I changed states from Pizza Hut delivery, which I loved up in Washington State. God, I was so happy. But it was rainy up there. I need more sun, so I quit and went to Arizona after 13 years living up there. USS Nimitz, that's the Navy. Puget Sound Naval Shipyard, which used to be Norfolk, Virginia. So I did a world tour. I got to see the east and the west side all around the world, folks. I stepped my foot on some land. Except Rio de Janeiro, because the shipmate said anyone can get laid there. Anyone can get laid in Rio de Janeiro. And I thought to myself, oh shit, I'm weak. So I'd already been to the Philippines, and I had a wonderful time. For the first time ever in the Navy, I had a wonderful time. And I had drunk a little bit too. But anyway, when I heard that we were in Rio de Janeiro and I heard what all the shipmates were saying, they said, anyone can get laid. And they said, it's easy to catch the disease down there. And I said to myself, fuck this. I ain't going off the ship. Because I had been to the Philippines and already caught something. And I didn't know till I had a backache from lifting something heavy. From the day that I told the fly PO. That's fly 2 on the flight deck, which is the middle. The flight deck middle. I started off working in the middle of the flight deck. Chaining aircraft to the deck. And them fuckers could not move until I moved them chains. I chained their asses down. And I put a tow bar on the front wheel. And eventually I learned to be a tractor driver, and I drove them all around. Woo! Backwards and forwards, at all kinds of angles. I even got on a tractor that had a jet engine on the back of it, and I had a hose on it, and we connected to the side of that F-14 Tomcat. They'll blow your ass up in a heartbeat. Blow your ass up in a heartbeat. Put a hose up to it. I didn't put the hose on, the plane captain put the hose on. Or if you were a chief, you put the hose on. If you weren't a good chief, you'd sit there and watch it, and when he turned it on, the hose fucking snapped back and smacked him right in the fucking nose and gave him a broken nose. That'll teach the chief. Won't it? How'd you like to have a broken nose on the flight deck? Being a chief overseeing all the lower ranks in the division. Yeah, chief. And here you are going up putting a hose on the airplane instead of letting the plane captain do it. Here you are. I'm going to show them. I know what I'm doing. Shit, you don't know shit. You put the hose on there and the guy fires it up, fucking breaks your nose when the hose comes loose from the aircraft. Now you look like a dumb shit, don't you? Woo! Lesson learned for the chief at least. Hey, at least he knows how to tell people what to do. And he's going to continue. When that nose heals up, he is going to continue telling people what to do, isn't he? It's just a lesson learned. But anyway, that's a wonderful side note to the story. Let's get back. UCC 1 financing statement. Secretary of State, who oversees all the voting through every fucking county in the state. That includes fake ballots, as in stolen election. Yeah? Fake President Biden. He is no president. In fact, if you watch the YouTube video, you have to search. You'll have to search and search and search if you don't know, if you haven't seen them. Like I said, Red Pill the World will be your clue, and you just start asking people in the comments, could you please point me to Hollywood Joe's hideout in Castle Rock Studios, which is a Hollywood studio White House where they film Hollywood movies, from which Hollywood Joe has been filming. And that's just the first point. I can tell you all kinds of shit. But anyway, we're on the UCC 1 financing statement. That's a public record at the Secretary of State. Not only for the debtor and the creditor, which has been flipped on the people. We are not the debtors, folks. And all these bankers giving us these fucking loans. Their fucking day is coming, and it's going to be short. We are the creditors. But you might have to watch some YouTube videos to get a grasp on this. Not just one or two. Unless you're quick to learn. Some of you all are quick to learn. But anyway, Secretary of State, public records, for the debtor and the creditor. And they oversee all the voting that's going on. That includes fake ballots. They oversee that too. So that'll give you a hint that all these Secretary of States that participated in any fraud, their asses are fucking toast. Unless you're living close to me. Because I'm merciful. I know a little bit more than the average private maritime lien holder. I moved on into natural realms, the natural law. And beyond that, the universal law. And beyond that, wherever the fuck I want it to be. And I'm a fair, square deal motherfucker. However you want to interpret those words. And it doesn't have to be what the fake media church tells you that it is through Webster's Dictionary or the street slang. let's end this video. I think it's been going on for a while. Let's end it. We're at 40 minutes and 6 seconds.